Maven interviews are all about capturing people's diverse passions and special skill sets. Bob Garlick and Andrew McGivern chat with local and international specialists to find out what they do and why they do it.
Hey everybody, it's another Maven interview for sure. I got my rocking co-host here, Andrew. Andrew, who do we have on the show today?
Well, we've got another top-notch Maven. This guy is the LinkedIn Rockstar, social media pioneer. He's a two-time Forbes Top 50 social media power influencer. So this is our second Forbes power influencer on the show.
Sweet.
And he's an internationally acclaimed LinkedIn authority and futurist. He's the founder of Integrated Alliances, which is the world's first social media firm. Impressive.
Yeah, it is. That is.
He's an inspiring speaker, and he's written a book called "Rock the World with Your Online Presence," which is a LinkedIn book. And apparently, there's a new version coming out soon. Did we miss anything, Mike?
Pretty good. Pretty darn good. 1,000 concerts. You didn't mention that, and
Yes, that's right. The reason why it's called the LinkedIn Rockstar is because he really is a rock star.
Really? What's your weapon of choice?
My voice, actually. There's a good story with it. LinkedIn introduces you to people of all different kinds, and you never know who's gonna reach out to you. And a guy from Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp reached out to me on LinkedIn. He was searching on rock and roll, and I have it spelled every which way. There's about 10 ways to spell rock and roll. Did you know that?
Wow, I know they got that dash with the N on it. That's usually where I do it.
Yeah, you got and you got the ampersand and the dash and the and dash and the dash and dash, and I think there's probably a few others. And Guns N' Roses does it a certain way, and Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp does it a different way. But fortunately, I've got them all covered. Think SEO and rock and roll. There you go, right?
Nice.
Somehow I was able to get a pass to go to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and it was a session that was headed by Dickie Betts and about 15 other big-time rockers from Aerosmith and Kiss and bands like that.
Wow. You must have been in heaven.
I was, but at the end of 3 days of practice, a vocalist is getting a little sore there.
Yeah.
You're not eating ice cream while you're singing, and you feel like you should. Your vocal cords after 3 days of belting it out are pretty wild. And we had sessions like with Jack Blades from Night Ranger. He taught us vocal lessons. I had vocal lessons from Kip Winger from Winger.
Cool.
Suck your stomach in and sing from here. I'm pretty natural with a microphone in my hand. In fact, I'm a little overboard.
Mm-hmm. So you write on top of the mic. You're like basically eating the mic.
Yeah, kind of like a rapper. If anybody wants, they can see my video from Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp just on YouTube. Mike O'Neill, and that's O''Neil, Mike O'Neill Fantasy Camp.
Cool.
All right, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Hey, I don't know if it was your latest episode. I was listening to Rock the World with LinkedIn. Is that what it's called, or Rock? Is that it? Rock the World?
The radio show. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Lori said when you were going to commercial break or something like that, she said, "I want to hear some tunes as you go out." And you just said, with your own voice, you went with these yeah. So not only can you sing, but you can do like the Joe Satriani guitar with your voice.
Singing is different than being a vocalist. I'm more of a vocalist. See, you set lower standards for yourself. The fire chief is a vocalist at times. He's not a singer, but he's definitely a vocalist and stuff.
Belt it out.
I have a lot going on with regard to people that I've met through music and all. In fact, like I met the co-founder of Oracle at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. In fact, he's one of the primary investors. He's been to a dozen camps. His name is Ed Oates.
Cool.
So do you think the ability to groove with rock and roll is a good prerequisite for a CEO and a leader in today's business world?
Well, the founder of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp has a terrific book called Rock Your Business, and I've read it through twice now. In fact, he's going to write the cover to a book we have coming up. He's going to write the preface to it. And, so many of the things that he brings up there are things we're either already doing or we're going like, oh, my God. And, if someone says 3 out of 3 things are great and they're going to tell you number 4, do you get excited? You're 3 for 3. I'm betting on 4 for 4 here in my case. And the lessons are lessons we know as well. I mean, if you've got a really good business idea, people will barter for it. So that's a way to get started early on. Barter your business. Free tickets in exchange for promotion. Free this in exchange for that. And if you've got something that people want, hallelujah. It goes better. Partnering with other people. That was a really big piece too that came from it. We partner. Look at our name, Integrated Alliances. We picked a good name 10 years ago. It's even more stylish now. These are big things. And doesn't a band have to work together to I mean, what if one person's off in a band?
Yeah.
Does the whole song stink? And you owe it to your team, to your other band members to excel and to do your part. I mean, when I was late coming in with my vocals, and it did happen in practice, I was scolded by our drummer, who's a professional. He was the drummer for Pat Travers' band. You don't show up late. You put in a little extra overtime. You try to do it better every time. These are principles that come from it. And then you got the big show, so you got to put it on and do it in a way that doesn't have the safety net that you have when you're practicing.
There's no room for mediocrity, right? When you're
not on stage at the Fillmore, especially when you're compared with 9 other bands. There are 10 bands, and we were number 2, so I didn't know what I was up against and how it was all going. And guys, here's the funny thing: I still had my backstage pass on my pants, so I'm jamming, I'm singing up there, and I got this backstage pass on my leg, jumping up and down. You shouldn't be doing that. Don't wear a "Hello, my name is" badge when you're singing. Just find a place to put it.
Yeah. Hey, it's you could have just called it a wardrobe malfunction.
There you go. I thought about doing something in post on it, actually. I could have it surgically removed, if you know what I mean. But no, it's a great story now, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's one of the great things about rock and roll or social media is the stories and the ability to communicate with people and get them, rocking and excited about you as a brand and whoever you're trying to do business with, of course. How are you looking at LinkedIn now? For me, I think LinkedIn's at a tipping point where it's like the new flavor of the year. And everybody's like, wow, I got to get into LinkedIn. And I'm noticing way more people are much more attuned to the word LinkedIn than they were 6 months or a year ago. Are you finding that now?
Well, yeah, I have. We're at the stage where you're at pretty much 100% penetration with people who are external facing at any company. And if someone has a bare profile with nothing in it, it probably means they're safe in their job. But someone invited them and they couldn't say no. Sooner or later, you can't just say I'm just not going to do that. And LinkedIn's the safe bet. If you're going to do one thing in the social media space, that's the one to do. You're not going to get in trouble this way, the other way. What most people do is they're just going to copy their resume, right? Yeah. Copy paste their resume into LinkedIn, and there they are. And that's a good start, I guess. Better start than not being there at all.
Well, LinkedIn kind of does that for you when you start up. They'll say, "Hey, do you want us to grab all the information from your resume and slap it in for you?"
Yeah, if you've got a really well-formatted resume, it'll come over kind of nicely. Don't have it come over if you've already got stuff in there, though, because it doesn't append well. You'll get duplicates. It'll import your job at Coors as another job at Coors without matching them up if you already have some stuff there. So that's just one little thing to be aware of. The big thing in the LinkedIn space is that people are understanding a lot about big data and analytics, and all the NSA is collecting all this stuff to figure out who's who and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Look at the kind of information LinkedIn has about B2B business behavior. Who's shopping for what? How many times are they shopping where? How many have they? And who's in the lists and who's, connected such and such a way? Who's looking for what? The big search engine within LinkedIn, people know who's looking for what. It's the ultimate big data engine for business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's so the thing that with LinkedIn is there's so much there that you could be messing around with it for, months and months and just be scratching the surface. And I think people have really got to take it way more seriously and say, you know what, this is a tool and it's like owning a car. I should use it every day and I should be good at using it and I should learn about it and read books on it.
Well, getting a routine together is probably a good thing that we can help your audience with just a little bit. So what's a good routine for LinkedIn? How much time should I spend in what? And let me share that, because Lori and I have got a pretty good one that works for people. Assuming that you've already built out your profile, you're kind of on a glide path a little bit. It's not new, all that. You're kind of in a steady state. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes near the lunch hour, and 15 minutes before you go to bed at night. Mm-hmm. Start with an empty mailbox. Those three things. And if you want to take more time, fine, but no more than that's required. Anything more than that. And this is for external people, got revenue numbers, sales folks, recruiters, anybody should spend a minimum of that sort of stuff. And, we focus on salespeople here, and they're the kind of folks I'd recommend having a couple tabs open, 2, 3, 4 tabs on LinkedIn open, so you can kind of keep people's profiles loaded and load another one parallel with one another. You could load up a dozen windows. In fact, I often will have a dozen LinkedIn windows, even in different browsers, open.
So during that 15 minutes, what's the workflow? What are they doing?
Okay, you start with your inbox and seeing who has sent you communications, and deal with your inbox. So you'll send thank you messages after you connect to people. There's this sort of chit chat that goes back and forth. The other thing is, most folks will have a group or two that they decide that's going to be their one. You can join 50 groups, and there's generally enough time and span and attention for really to do something with one or two of them. Okay, so that's a good piece to kind of start the morning. Okay? In the midday out there, some things might have come in, and also you're starting to think about, well, gee, I've had some activity this morning. I should check out the people that I've already talked to, or the people that I'm going to talk to. There's always a preparatory thing when you're going to call somebody. So there's kind of the close it out by saying thanks for that conversation, and then prepping up for the next one going forward. And LinkedIn keeps a nice little log file of you can go back and find things that you sent and received. It's not perfect, but it's kind of nice to go back and see when you connected with someone and what message it was and all. And that's some of the new features in the paid version of LinkedIn. They've got some new CRM kind of things going on.
That's a good segue, actually, for a paid version of LinkedIn. When should somebody consider deciding to go for a pro account? Right away, or once they start getting more comfortable with it?
I'd say if your profile's really, really done and you start really inviting people, because the profile is your first part. Once you get that kind of going, you're ready to step out. I'd jump on it pretty quickly if you have a revenue-producing job. In fact, I'd pay the annual amount. It's a little over $200, and get that service and just be done with it one time. You get a couple months for free, and the list of things on and on is actually been a list of they don't take something away from you now. They used to add more features and add, more quantities of stuff. Recently, you've stopped having some features like being able to see the full name of your, more distant connections. We call them tier 3 connections. You used to be able to see their full name. And when you pay for a subscription, you get a lot more results. It's kind of nice to get 300 results or 500 instead of 100. It goes a lot better. More is better in a lot of cases, guys.
Yep. For people that are using it as a business-to-business sales tool, when do you think they should start getting more salesy on it? Like they've connected with somebody, say, hey, do a quick reach out. Here's some tips and tricks. When is an opportune time for them to say, hey, I do this if I can help you, or if you know somebody that I can help? When's a good time to start asking?
Well, the inviting process and thank you process is a big component to that. So I don't think you never really start or stop it. It just is something that's kind of part of what happens. Certain people you'll be more salesy with than others. I'm not going to try to sell something, nor should you or anyone try to sell something to somebody that we know they don't need. I'm not going to sell you a DS3 line at home. Hey, guys, you really need this 45 meg pipe DS3. It's $7,500 a month, but you really need it.
Yeah.
You need it. You gotta pick the right things and the right people who need them.
Yeah.
There's a philosophy called nude marketing, NUDE. Does that sound intriguing?
Yeah. Let me put my glasses on.
When I tell it to you, it'll make a lot of sense. And it's how to have a viral kind of product. And it needs to have four categories. The first one, N for nude, is novelty. It has to be cool. It has to be neat. How cool is a quarter pounder? But the Asian wrap at McDonald's, that's cool. That's new. You know, people attach newness and coolness to it, not for a traditional products. So that's N. The U part is called utility. People really need to have it. You know, you don't need a DS3. It doesn't matter what it is. You cannot use a 45 meg pipe at home in that environment there. Let's just say you could. Maybe you could. I could.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'd love it.
One of those? All right. So maybe that's a bad example. How about an OC192, 100 gigabit pipe? Okay. Because it costs $197,000 a day or something like that. But if it's something you need and it's something that's cool, you might keep listening.
Yeah.
And if it was good 8 out of 10 times, you'd say, well, you know, maybe I'll think twice about that again. It's got to be dependable. Dependable. Mm-hmm. Don't recommend something that might be good. A friend who might have a good experience, unless you put a big disclaimer on it, right?
Yeah.
You know, you might like the car, but you know what? It goes kind of slow, and you might, you know, yeah, but you might like it. You know, that doesn't work. 3 out of 4 times it got me there. Whoa. The last part in nude marketing is it has to be economical. Mm-hmm. It has to be priced right. Because you can nail the other 3 and put an extra 0 on the price and no one can afford it and it just doesn't matter. But if it's cool and people need it and it's dependable and it's priced right, you get people to, you know, it can go viral if in the right environment. Mm-hmm. So think about, you know, how do you make your product more cool and who needs it and how dependable is it? And, you know, do I have it priced right? So if you think about who really needs that, now you're barking, and that's the kind of person you're talking about, right? Something qualified.
Mm-hmm. So basically it's like a normal sales process. As a salesperson, you're uncovering people's needs, asking questions, finding out where the pain points are, what they could use in their business, and if it matches your product, then you pitch them on it.
Exactly. Now, the best way to really deal with things is to have people come to you, isn't it? Don't you like it when they call you?
Inbound marketing, yeah, sure.
Margins a little higher that way?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. Yeah, you don't get the bottom of the line price when you're calling me all ready to buy and stuff. So connecting with your former coworkers and business partners, manufacturer reps from the old days, having a good, well-described job from the old days out there, pretty great thing, because guess what? They are in different positions now. They used to be your competing sales rep in the cube next to you, and they're now the VP of operations at Sprint. And another guy who is sitting over here is now working for CenturyLink on the transmission division. Mm-hmm. You know, people as you get older become more important, at least generally speaking. Mm-hmm. You go from being a manager to a vice president to a president. You know, that over time. And your old friends love to hear from you. Have someone called you over after a long period of time and you go like, wow, it's great to hear from you. Does that happen?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Actually, Bob just had an old friend in from Asia yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. Ex-CEO from Yahoo Asia. Very nice to chat with him. Hadn't seen him for like 6 years. But you know what? We reconnected... I think through LinkedIn and Facebook. And he was coming on a family vacation, so we tended to stay on Facebook because it was more personal. But for sure, I think reconnecting with people with LinkedIn is definitely a way to go. I want to know, what's the best way to discover new people on LinkedIn? Like, how do you get, if I want to talk to the president of company X, but I'm way down the totem pole and I just can't connect with him on the phone, I can't connect with him through LinkedIn, what's the best strategy for me to actually get connected?
Here's a really basic strategy that works irregardless of LinkedIn or anything else, is find yourself a coach at the company, someone who'll help you, meander through the automatic call tree, so to say.
Yep.
Someone will kind of be your guide, and that frankly, beer works well with those.
Especially black beer, right? Guinness or.
Yeah, if they like that, the more the better. Yeah, when they drink Coors, it doesn't mean as much. Although I drink Coors now because I'm, outside of Colorado, it's really cool to drink Coors.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that would be, as a strategy for LinkedIn, using groups for stuff like that. If you know somebody likes beer, if you could go to one of the beer groups and then find that person, then connect them on the beer level and saying, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of so-and-so. How do you think I should do it? That's a nice backdoor approach too.
Yeah, that very is. I like to look at the interest section on their profile because they put words in, and they're usually words that are, not fancy. There might be 5 or 10 words there like hockey and basketball and, who knows what. I go kind of overboard. I even mentioned, Tom Petty and John Mellencamp, and I'm into Duesenbergs and Ferraris. And I'm into fine automobiles, art, I would say. If you see some of that and mention any of that to me, boy, I'm just butter in your arms. And so are other people if it's horses or skeet shooting or whatever, if you mention it in a positive way, they're all over you. They'll just melt.
Yep.
That's what you're looking for. Flip it to business later in the conversation. I always go in with something that's personal in nature, frankly.
Yeah, well, with a lot of the clients, that's one of the first things I'll ask them in an interview is like, hey, what are you passionate about? Don't worry about work and stuff like that. Forget about that. What makes you excited? And, 9 times out of 10, it'll be say, oh, I love golf. And so, gosh, write about golf, get people to communicate with you about golf, and then use golf as a metaphor to talk about your product, to introduce them to your product very subtly.
Yeah, as a radio host, you have to be kind of skilled on your feet in terms of coming up with analogies, relating something new back to something that you already know. So it's a little easier for people to kind of understand because, you don't have a whole lot of time on a radio show to explain all the things you need to know to understand our point here. Yeah. You got to kind of do it in thumbnail version or abstract sort of version. Well, the thing about that they're saying now in the sales world, and I'm not a big statistics guy, but it really, really came close to home is that 2/3 of the sales process is done by the time they reach out to any vendors. They're checking you out, checking the products out, comparisons, blogs, you name it, before they even reach out. So you don't get a chance to tell them about all the features of your product. For the most part, they've already seen it and developed some sort of opinion. And gosh, it's great if they've called you that your marketing didn't scare them away. Your profile didn't scare them away. You didn't have a bad thing happen. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of things they're looking to check people off. Who can I scratch off this list, right? Like a employer, right? Who can I kill?
Well, it's definitely
vendors already have to choose from.
Well, definitely there's overload happening, and then there's the trust factor. It's a lot of times when you're making a decision for your company, whether it's your own company or you're an employee of that company, it's the trust factor, and a lot of times you'll end up using somebody that you trust over a higher quality product. I know that sounds crazy, but it's that trust thing. And if people think they're risking their jobs by making a decision, it's very hard to break into that trust circle. How do you think LinkedIn's helping that process?
Well, LinkedIn kind of comes in as a trusted partner for a lot of folks. A lot of companies think LinkedIn is their partner. Mm-hmm. These are especially folks that are doing a lot with recruiting. If you're in the recruiting world, you are partners with LinkedIn. And, 10 years ago, you were partners with Career Builder or Monster. You have that kind of partnership in recruiting. Kind of close, right?
Yep.
In fact, recruiters pay a lot of money for an extended version, a fancier version of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter, $400 a month on up. You better be kind of serious if someone's spending that. And for the most part, it's companies who spend it on their employees who do recruiting. It's not coming out of their personal wallet. If I had to write a check for $400 to LinkedIn every month out of my personal wallet, I might feel differently about it than if my employer does, don't you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, think about how that adds up as you have a team, and now you've got teams in different cities and all. That's a lot of money that you end up at the bottom line writing a check to LinkedIn every month. Mm-hmm. Big companies. And they're adopting it in their standard operating procedure. I mean, when you go to Sprint and these other places, the onboarding process includes social media stuff now.
Yeah, for sure.
And, they've got their favorite.
Well, what about CRM, like I was chatting with a guy the other day and he says, I'm kind of using LinkedIn as my CRM right now. And I was thinking, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Do you think that's a viable approach, or should you have a separate CRM?
Well, I'll tell you, CRM is a extremely fluid area right now, especially when you talk about hooks in the social media space, because the kind of hooks that you need to do between a CRM and LinkedIn, for example, if you're going to connect a CRM to LinkedIn, as opposed to using it as a CRM, not everything lines up. Mm-hmm. You can't do things that you might think you could do. If you wanted to make a change over here, well, there's no write command. There's no put command. There's no way to affect a change. You can only read. Reading's a whole lot different. APIs, when you're reading, is like, well, I can read a book, but I need to write the book. I need to respond, and no such function in many cases in the current version of things. Mm-hmm. The CRM tool that I'm most impressed with is Infusionsoft.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things with that.
I think they've got it going better than just about anybody. They've got the right nailed up things, and they recently bought a social media company. So hopefully they can incorporate some of those social media hooks. Like if a lead comes in on Twitter, there's nothing going to get a lead in from Twitter into a CRM system other than a person keying stuff in.
Yeah.
Got to use a person for that. There's no tool that'll essentially do that today. But in the future, those things will be there. And I'm actually writing a book called Social Media 4.0 that goes over a lot of these things, what dashboards are going to look like in the future. If you want to connect with Bob, well, I could push one button and connect on 5 platforms with one push of a button, not go to 5 different platforms and meander the user interfaces to find the button that does this and the button that does that, different in every single platform.
Yep.
That's where it's headed. It's also going to head from, you'll be able to pause and delete connections across platforms as well. When I say pause, think about it. You had a fight with your girlfriend and you paused it in a weird sense, but putting it on pause. Mm-hmm. When that happens, guys, you're no longer are people seeing ads on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn collected ad money, and LinkedIn subscriptions don't mean much because the dashboard's got all the action going on.
Yep.
And it's talking to LinkedIn in the background while it's talking to Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of others.
Yep.
So is there a company that has developed something that is kind of the beta version of what you're talking about, or is this...
Nimble probably does the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Nimble, yeah.
So that's a very good point you made about if everybody jumps on platforms, then the actual providers like LinkedIn or Facebook, do you think they might pull the plug?
I think they're going to start charging for data. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
The telephone companies charge when AT&T and Sprint connect their networks together. There's all this traffic that they send back and forth, and if it's too far in one direction over another, they pay extra money. They pay money for it. You get to... as long as about half of it's mine and half of it's yours, we'll just exchange that traffic on our internet networks between AT&T and Sprint. But if Sprint sends twice as much traffic over to AT&T than they send back here, someone's going to write a check for that extra bandwidth. And that's the kind of thing that's going to happen, if almost like a data plan. Mm-hmm. At least I'm believing. We're kind of heading what the future might look like, but in some ways we can affect the future if we think about it right.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of the stuff you talk about, like the books and your experience with LinkedIn and training and all that, where's a great place for people to check you out and find out more about some of these things?
Well, our basic website is integratedalliances.com, integratedalliances.com. And we've got a lot of resources out there, including a full-blown free LinkedIn e-learning program done in a fancy studio, Lori and I, showing you LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other resources out there because, frankly, the self-serve part works as well. We let people get our free stuff and sample our video, and some of them call.
Yep.
Some of them kind of like that. And, maybe some folks on this call would want to get some free LinkedIn training by going to integratedalliances.com. It's pretty simple.
Well, and so, the free training you're giving, it's pretty good stuff, man. There's some really meaty subjects that you dig into.
We met our partners there on LinkedIn. See, I wouldn't have had all of that video fancy stuff going on if I hadn't made some very good partnerships because of searches and having a great profile on LinkedIn. It was a combination of a search matching up with a, I got caught up in the search, and I was on page one, at the top of page one probably, because when you have a bigger network and been there longer, the algorithms kind of push you up. They kind of reward seniority a little bit.
Yeah.
And they should. They should.
So you've built a pretty solid, influential following in social media. That's why, or in Twitter specifically, that's why you were rated in the top 50. And you and Lori are both in the top 50, and she's in the top 20 women as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're the only business partners that are in the that are together in those lists.
Yeah, there aren't any two from the same family or company or anything. Lori is both my business partner and my life partner, so it's even more complex.
There you go.
And I won't get too far about some of the other people in there, because there's some other very very nice people in there that we know very well in the group there. The LinkedIn people really know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
The top LinkedIn people, the list of, there's about 10 or 12 of us that are kind of at the top of the game here.
Yep.
And there's a whole bunch of people wanting to get into it and deserving to. The group gets bigger all the time, but you can't learn experience so much.
Yeah.
It takes so many seasons, it takes 9 months to make a baby. Some things you just got to do your time, which means you're going to need to watch what some other people are doing. Even if you go, I can do that. They've got 7 years of doing it, and you've got 2. So you got to kind of still pay attention.
Absolutely. Actually, I'd like to crunch some numbers with you. What's the maximum amount of people that you can connect with on LinkedIn?
30,000.
Now, have you reached that 30,000? I would think quite easily.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So what's the strategy for that? Knowing that you've got 30,000 people is their limit, you've got 5, 6, 10, 15, 20,000 people. When should you start looking at groups as a way to move people over and do the communication in groups?
Well, right from the very get-go, groups are something that it's a parallel thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not telling other people to go get 30,000 connections. Things are different now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started a long time ago, and if you planted a seed to an oak tree 40 years ago, it's a tall tree, as opposed to the, tree that's planted 10 years ago. It's it just goes that way. And there's more dangers now than there used to be. We never, in the early days of LinkedIn, had problems with fake profiles. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you weren't there was never a bad link that was ever sent to anybody. There weren't scams. There weren't all these automated processes and autoresponders and things that are kind of becoming into play now. So, it was safer back then. It was just for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Baseball, as it should have been. They might have said. But nowadays, it's gotten more serious because there's real money being made on LinkedIn. So people are looking to see how they can, win the game by not bending the rules, but learning where the edge is. How far can we take this? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you an example of how I use my bigger network as I travel. Because with a smaller network, you get less results doing this. If I travel to Chicago, for example, and we're there 3-4 times a year, I send a LinkedIn message to all my Chicago direct connections, letting them know what's going on, why I'm in town, and while I'm here, I got some time to meet up with some other folks. And in most cases, Lori and I throw what we call a LinkedIn Rockstar networking event. Basically, we're going to go to a bar, set up a little area in the corner or off to the side, bring "Hello, my name is" badges, set up an Eventbrite registration site, and have people register for what's essentially just a drop-in happy hour. And I build a list of 50 to 100 people each time who register. And, next time I go, I can go to that same list and say, hey, I'm back again. And even Eventbrite will just send it out on Eventbrite's behalf.
Nice.
Cool.
Now,
hey,
when I go to Denver,
that sounds familiar.
I'm connected to in Denver. So in Denver, that's a big job. There's 80 times you need to go click 50 boxes. You see, there's that's where LinkedIn does this throttling, sort of. You can do it. It's just going to take a lot of clicks. And frankly, I have a virtual assistant who does that for me.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Taking over the back of a bar and having a little event. We do that every second Wednesday in downtown Vancouver. It's the Bunker Project show.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you do it at Earl's?
No. We do it at what used to be called the Bunker. Now it's called the Den Bar, but it's quite eclectic, an eclectic group of people and some pretty eclectic conversations for sure.
Yeah, it's in the Barclay Hotel.
People like that eclectic venue. Like in Indianapolis, we were at the Slippery Noodle.
Oh, nice.
The Slippery Noodle's been the place where B.B. King and all the bands have come through, and we just happened to be there on open mic night. So I'm having a LinkedIn party, and my LinkedIn friends at 8:30 or so are all kind of going, we're going to go in the other room over there. And I kind of go, well, wonder what's going on? Well, at 9 o'clock, it's open mic night, open band night, and all these people are bringing instruments. And so we're sitting there with folks that we were just, talking LinkedIn earlier with, watching the next band and the next band and the next band. And that's where it really got to me that, I'm in the right spot. That music and LinkedIn go really well together, especially to people who like both of them. And that's a lot of people, frankly.
Yep.
Very cool.
We're running out of time, Mike. It was awesome chatting with you. Andrew, do you have one last question to zap Mike with?
Yeah, sure. For someone who's, say, in sales and is looking to improve their profile, say they've got a basic profile set up, what's the number one thing that you suggest? Is it putting video? Is it using SlideShare? Is it putting the right keywords in? What's the number one tip that you would give to somebody who is in a sales position and looking to capitalize on LinkedIn?
Think about the summary on up. Your summary, the things above it. Focus on that. Your summary is a conversation, maybe a 45-second conversation you have with the reader that has a call to action that says, if this is good, here's my email address, here's my phone number. And it's in the summary. It's where they don't have to scroll much or scroll at all. Your picture's really, really important nowadays.
Yeah. And
have a picture that's got something that springs from the page. An average picture looking like a mug shot in business, it doesn't do it anymore. And frankly, 3-4 years ago, it was more fitting in with your picture. Now it's more standing out with your picture. Both of you guys have great standout pictures here on Skype, by the way.
Hey, thank you very much. You got a nice one, too.
That's the picture I use on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, that's consistency of your brand.
That's Bob Seger in the background there, by the way.
I would just wanted to ask you, how you can change the order of what people see on your profile. Is there any magic sauce there, or is it just...
Each section like jobs within a section and even jobs in general, there's usually in the upper right corner of these sections, there's a little square, almost like a little hand, and you can just kind of grab it and move it around. It's in the upper right corner of most of these sections. Within the jobs, you can move stuff around.
Yep.
You can't take a job and move it out of the jobs area, but within jobs, you can move them around. And you can move stuff, the whole jobs thing itself around. Just can't take them out of the basket, so to say.
But what do you think? Is there a good order to have it in? Like you have the profile and jobs?
The natural order is pretty good. People are used to seeing stuff in a certain order.
Yeah. If
you move it around too much, it just you can move a few things around. I moved my contact setting stuff a little bit and all. The skills is an area that if people are looking for work, the skills area is something I would move up, even ahead of the job stuff, the skills area. But for the most part, people are used to seeing, the turn signal on the left of the car and the shifter on the right. And I don't suggest messing with that too much.
Good point. Well, Mike, thank you very much for spending some time with us this afternoon, or this evening, actually, now.
It's awesome, guys.
And if people want to connect with you, what's the best platform? Through LinkedIn or through one of the groups or through Twitter? What would you recommend?
Well, people can get to all my links at mikeisonline.com.
No.
mikeisonline.com. It takes you to all my links. And guess what? There's a laurieisonline.com too for my partner, Laurie.
Excellent.
They're called link pages.
Excellent. Well, I'll make a point of definitely linking up with you. Very excited about your new book. I'm definitely going to invite you to come on the Business Book Chat and or Business Book Talk podcast. Andrew?
Yeah, you have a really great show. I enjoy the teamwork. Laurie and I do a show as well. Her and I sort of teamed up as well, 2-on-1, kind of like this. We interview CEOs of social media companies.
Very sweet. Well, that'd be a great shout. We'd like to do a shout out. If you think somebody that would be a good fit for the Maven interviews, we'd love to chat with them.
Yeah, I've got some really good ideas for you guys.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And we'd love to have you back and maybe get Lori on as well in the future.
Yeah, got to share, Mike. You got to share. Can't take all of it.
I got it. She gets enough spotlight already, but you're right. We're another whole thing having Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks together then as a solo act.
Yeah, we should get you both on at the same time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hey, I'm just doing my traditional thing. So for today, I'm gonna say sayonara.
Arrivederci.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks again, Mike.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and I'm sure you will love our next guest. But until then, visit the website at maveninterviews.com for more information and links to iTunes, Twitter, and other social media platforms. If you would like to leave a message, please call 1-877-636-1474. You never know, it might be you featured on the show.